can I just take this moment to thank each and every one of you amazing supporters. This channel has grown into an amazing community of story lovers. I could not have done it without you guys. If you haven't yet subscribed, then please be part of this journey and help us reach new heights. Thank you. I almost skipped right past Alex's Tinder profile. Just another generically handsome finance bro in a sea of NYC investment banker clones. But something about those seafoam eyes pulled me in against my usual types. After a week chatting over texts, I was hooked on his goofy foodie quips and random philosophical questions keeping me on my toes. When Alex finally asked me out to dinner in Brooklyn, butterflies took flight in my stomach. The night started out almost annoyingly perfect when we met at the cozy Italian restaurant. Alex looked even sharper in person than his pics in a tailored suit hugging his tall frame. His bright grin lit up the room, and that first long hello felt like reuniting with an old friend. We gabbed nonstop over pasta, joking about art and favorite neighborhoods until they kicked us out after closing. Alex walked me to the subway hand in hand, smiling down at me under the streetlights with tangible sparks in the night air between us. We shared a gentle first kiss before making loose plans to meet that weekend. Floating at a high over meeting such a gem, I couldn't wipe the smitten grin off my face the whole train ride home. But when I texted Alex the next afternoon, my message wouldn't go through. Strange. I tried messaging him on Tinder just in case he had gotten a new number. But where a dozen charming photos and witty bio once existed, only a grayed out user not found notice remained. Unease crept up my spine, realizing Alex had totally vanished from the app without warning. Confused and a little hurt, I tried tracking him down via social media using details I remembered. But searches for any combination of identifiers, his company, college, hometown, even the adorable beagle he had as a kid, all returned zero accounts anywhere. It seemed impossible, but no digital footprint proved my fantastic date Alex ever actually existed anywhere. Worry mounting by the minute, I called the restaurant to check if anyone recalled seeing us together that night. The host first gushed remembering what a striking couple we made in crisp business attire. But her tone grew tense when I described Alex's abruptly phantom status after seeming so enchanted together just hours before. "Oh, I'm so sorry, but a nice single lady did have a loner table for one on Wednesday," the host finally confessed. "It happens more than you think, actually. Creeps targeting unsuspecting women pretending they're meeting someone until guests report them lurking too long." Reeling, I could barely process the implications as she gently suggested making a police report if I continued feeling unsafe after this bizarre catfishing scheme. Ending the call, hot tears spilled down my cheeks, realizing this sociopath had coldly conjured up an entire false identity simply to manipulate me, knowing his absence would barely register amidst the dating app churn. Still clinging desperately to my fairy tale intuitions about our connection, I hired a private investigator to track Alex down over the following weeks. But despite escalating efforts digging through digital archives around the globe, no records surfaced confirming Alex existed, let alone resembled the swoon-worthy character who romanced me. Eventually, after one too many dead ends, my PI friend James leveled with me. "We see these dating app loners constantly now pretending to be perfect romantic prospects on apps," he explained. "They get twisted gratification from the game, disappearing forever once targets get hooked, leaving them shattered." My stomach turned, facing the harsh truth that I wasn't just coasted by some run-of-the-mill commitment phobe. Alex's meticulous methods signaled experienced manipulation, maximizing harm through erasing all hope of answers post-fabrication. This cunning stranger likely slid seamlessly into another alias, hunting my replacement pawn to enact his sick fantasies before cutting ties again without a trace when he tired of them. Still reeling from realization I had been so coldly fleeced, I attended a support group for romance scheme survivors, just feeling desperate to be understood. And as others shared their catfishing stories, a chilling theme emerged. Each cunning culprit had enacted similar disappearing acts before our paths crossed. My blood ran cold hearing Beth relay how she located a police report from Florida detailing an eerily parallel gaslighting episode by some chamberlain named Alec with her friend years back. and Andrew described his endeavor being seduced, then abandoned by a shady suitor who later was arrested in Canada for harassment under the name Sander. Clearly, this violent emotional predator had been honing his hobby of false identity romance scams for ages, with plenty practice erasing former targets' lingering doubts about our connections. My nightmare was just the latest iteration of targeted abuse at the hands of a transient master manipulator. Nowadays, I still find myself endlessly scouring crowds and dating apps hoping to spot Alex's handsome visage amidst the masses. Desperate for an explanation, apology, even just confirmation that intense emotional intimacy wasn't totally fabricated as authorities keep insisting. But I know deep down I'm just another transparency in the perpetrator's rear view, fading from memory and relevance as his savage machinations churn onto fresh prey. And understand I'll likely never fully shake residual urges to trust despite unhealed scars from mistakenly offering my ruined heart up to a charming apparition hollow of substance or morality. At least support groups to help me process the violation and betrayal slowly, as I accept none may ever fill this Alex-shaped void or answer for such conscienceless harm. Wherever this ephemeral monster resurfaces, I pity his next pawns. But I still square if our paths cross again. I won't ignore the long-forgotten facts his perfect facade no longer fools me. I remember seeing Nathan's blank Bumble profile lacklusterly stating 6 foot and nothing more. But with only a silhouette obscuring whatever facial features, my curiosity got the better of me. Matching with a literal blind date stranger seemed oddly intriguing for an otherwise uneventful Friday night stuck working from my studio apartment. We exchanged witty banter about favorite books and debate teen glory days before talk turned more personal. Nathan deftly dodged sharing identifiable details about his day-to-day within Cincinnati's sprawling university scene. But soon he had coaxed out my entire life story, from growing up overseas to navigating big city dating after my coveted grad school dance program brought me local earlier that year. Sometimes Nathan would disappear mid-chat for days, leaving questions hanging about his abrupt exits. But he always reemerged apologizing for responsibilities calling him away, immediately recalling tiny details I had shared about widowed dad's diabetes or former roommate drama. He clearly invested uncommon focus parsing each fact I revealed while refusing reciprocity about his own phantom identity. Eventually, after weeks trading life updates and cheeky memes, Nathan asked to meet up for dinner when my jam-packed showcase schedule calmed. I hesitated, initially self-conscious about telling only silhouette glimpses of my new confidant before trusting such intimacy. But late-night calls with that velvety voice assured me our emotional connection far outweighed putting superficial labels onto whatever this was. Before I realized I had given my heart freely, still ever curious what aura of mystery still kept his appearance guarded. The morning we planned finally meeting, I buzzed with eager energy to embrace the stranger who had occupied my every idle thought for months. Until stepping outside to grab an Uber, everything screeched to a halt. All along my apartment building, suffice enough light posts displayed weathered flyers with my senior yearbook photo plastered full size. And below, violent red letters scrawled a chilling question. Who is the real Melanie behind all those sensual contemporary dance costumes? Blood drained from my face, realizing Nathan must have discovered my address and printed these unhinged, missing style posters overnight while I slept unaware just yards away from his trespassing. Breath quickening in panic, I rushed up, grabbing and tearing down each portrait of me leering under streetlights. How had shy recluse Nathan with zero digital footprint orchestrated such aggressive exposure literally overnight? I raced upstairs to collect myself, nearly sobbing, realizing our long-awaited introduction now morphed into a situation requiring police protection. Until my phone dinged with an ominous final farewell message from the very source I realized too late wasn't merely introverted. Looks like the jig is up, sweet Melanie. By now, you must have uncovered my little art project highlighting the re-gap between your private and public faces. I never could resist temptation from a delicious dramatic dichotomy. Consider this goodbye, but I'll be watching your future highs and lows with great interest always from the wings. Dancers like us never truly leave the stage, do we? Shaking, I suddenly recall our first phone conversation when Nathan offhandedly mentioned being pulled from Juilliard his first year for creative differences. My skin crawled realizing I had accidentally welcomed an unhinged, vengeance-seeking dance peer into my world, offering fuel for further chaos. This was no mere catfishing scheme. Nathan clearly relished methodically manipulating my words into theatrical spectacle, punishing me for succeeding at the prestigious program that had rejected him. Over subsequent days, paranoid dread consumed my every move. I triple-checked doors and window locks nightly, startled by strange looks from benign subway passengers and odd shadows near my building. Nathan menacingly promised to monitor my breakdown nonstop, perhaps aggravated I had not provided sufficient dramatic displays in the poster incident's immediate aftermath. My petrified complaints to police only aggravated frustration. Without evidence, he himself had installed the threatening flyers or posed legitimate risk beyond voyeuristic messages. They dismissed the creepy poster incident as tasteless pranksters rather than stalkers requiring intervention. The following weeks lured together in hyper-vigilant marathon. Each unexpected phone notification offering relief, it wasn't another chilling tribute from Nathan. Whenever unfamiliar figures lingered too near my apartment or dance studio route, I wondered anxiously if my tormentor studied me among the crowds, eagerly awaiting signs of declares he had successfully shattered any normal composure. Exhausted friends suggested minimizing social media and changing numbers, since Nathan clearly relished taunting me with perceived omniscience about my daily rhythms. But complicitly cutting off communication pathways still felt like handing victory to my anonymous adversary. So I mostly persevered, anxiously managing the unshakable sensation of being ceaselessly surveyed by one never fully seen but always potentially present. In my lowest moments, I even entertained whether subconsciously I welcomed such single-minded attention after years feeling overlooked, coming up underdog in the notoriously cutthroat dance arena. Had all lonely nights in strange cities or post-show melancholy made me somehow susceptible to attachment bonding so intensely with even a transparently toxic figure simply for offering consistent connection I craved? But each time the question arose, I had only to recall Nathan's parting words about eagerly spectating future dramatic displays to shut down any hint of voluntarily retaining ties for some gnawed emotional void. The palpable malice in his ongoing infiltration had already shown true colors. No amount of reframing could soften given what cruelty festered beneath his inscrutability. Now 6 months later in my second year of school, paranoia still haunts the periphery. Any cryptic text from numbers not pre-saved gets promptly blocked, and I entertain fantasies of torching all possessions, cutting ties to this tainted town forever. But starting over still feels unthinkably extreme, letting invisible demons win by dismantling every facet of existence. So for today at least, shoulders square as I step outside, stealing nerves for my return solo showcase premiere. And shadows be damned, I tell myself eyes should shine only for the stage lights awaiting my cue, dancing defiantly beneath their glow against forces beyond my control. The show goes on with or without a phantom villain's gaze tracking each high and low from where darkness blurs realities, set dressing into feared possibilities. I swore off dating apps after one too many dim-witted dudes obsessed with CrossFit and keto. But on a whim during 3 margarita happy hour with the girls, I downloaded Looksy, the classy app promising verified 6-figure singles without all the creeps and catfish baggage. Stumbling home in my wine haze, I nearly choked seeing a new match from none other than billionaire boy Wonder No Crane, America's youngest tech founder. His unassuming profile mostly discussed non-profit goals and spiritual growth ambitions that weirdly aligned with my social impact career. Odd for the notorious bad boy CEO, whose smirking face frequently graced tabloids draped in models. But liquid confidence propelled me to joke about philanthropy over cocktails sometime. Shockingly, no enthusiastically agreed, insisting humility ground success before discussing meditation retreats at his Bahamas compound. From their conversation flowed effortlessly covering family goals, ethical business practices, and even past trauma healing. Nothing like the arrogant playboy image his notorious reputation suggested, but rather an introspective visionary utilizing resources for global good while battling inner demons. A total catnip for my bleeding heart counselor instincts. Within weeks, dreamy ethical reformist No felt like my soulmate twin flame. He even apologized for publicized bachelor antics as youthful ignorance, he now sought to undo through activism and supporting women who uplift him in return. Soon, we slipped into the habit of globetrotting on his jet, discussing social justice issues while snorkeling Caribbean coves only accessible via his yacht. Each romantic sunset stroll cemented my convictions around No's sincere redemption. And as he low-key started mentioning wanting brilliant partners like me helping steer his corporate empire's change-making future, I daydreamed endlessly about building that power duo legacy side by side. Until one starry evening during a tender moment, No gazed at me with vulnerable hope that disarmed my final hesitations, pointing at Orion above, whispering, "See that sparkle? Its magic brought my true soulmate. Please save me from endless loneliness by combining forces across business and life always, forever." My heart detonated into a million dazzling pieces, until No slid a thick leather folio into my stunned hands. Skimming its contents, my bliss combusted. Pages of bank statements, portfolio analytics, and company holdings stared back coldly. Just signs stating intent to merge your assets and vision with mine, sealing our destiny, my darling. No urged gently, misreading my spiraling horror as mere uncertainty. With crystalline clarity, I suddenly understood this whole orchestration had been just another perfectly executed long game to groom, then coerce my assets, merging with his conglomerate's billion-dollar umbrella, all while securing the modern trophy wife accessory No's elite status required. Barely stifling disgusted outrage, I somehow maintained coy smiles, fawning over legalities I couldn't possibly parse in the moment. "Oh, honey, let's take time thoughtfully reviewing with lawyers separately first. His whole night feels so magical already without potentially muddying waters legally right away." No reluctantly acquiesced, seemingly reassured by enthusiastic kisses goodnight, and I escaped his lavish apartment turned gilded prison by dawn. Only then did I release pent-up agony for the 100th time, pathetically falling for a polished billionaire's hollow vows and rehearsed vulnerability masking calculated opportunism, all while I abandoned all self-preserving skepticism. Weary investigations later unearthed dozens of spurned paramours, recounting the same scripted overtures before having assets covertly compromised when charisma waned. Authorities proved useless given No's airtight separation between mesquite corporate temper and polished Dr. Jekyll public image. But at least comparing notes with fellow survivors brought comforting clarity that none of us failed gullibility tests designed to exploit fairy tale longing. No perfect prince can fill voids or complete us alone without inner foundation. And no designer wardrobe dressing predatory intentions alters villainous cores. Nowadays I pour energy into spotlighting billionaire boys' club harms rather than internalizing scorn, and try gentler affirmations rebuilding intrinsic worth outside glittering mirrors reflecting back only hollow validation. But intrusive echoes of No's tender promises still haunt moments of doubt with reminders that given the chance, even the noblest suitors may reveal familiar monsters underneath when hearts rate lower priority than expanding empires at any cost. So I try focusing integrity inward, avoiding ambition's slippery slopes crafted by charming smiles masking wit to means, and cling tighter now to self-sufficiency that, while lonely, won't demand compromising my soul as the ultimate marriage dowry. Thanks for listening in. If you like these stories and want to hear more, then please subscribe and like and support this new channel. We have more stories for you to listen to.